Hello, and welcome to another update video on gold. So, yeah, the gold chart continues to be in a sideways correction pattern, in a sideways consolidation pattern, and it's really not changed. I mean, since the last video, the market has has formed another dip. The bounce I wanted to see, the bounce towards resistance that I wanted to see early this week happened, but was super weak. So we need to talk about that. I mean, really, the market has barely moved, right? I continue to consider that this sideways move. I'll show you. I've got a few scenarios on the chart here. They haven't changed though. So if you know, if you followed the previous video updates, then you know that really the idea is we are in a wave 4 correction. There are basically a few pathways that we can consider, and that we can't really confirm here a full-scale upside reversal or something until we finally see some upside momentum in 5 waves, and actually, and that's even more important, a break above resistance. So I think it's worth talking about, first of all, what are the parameters we have here on the chart. I'll do that first. Let's talk about support and resistance. And then also let's talk about what are actually the scenarios, right? So I think we start probably best to start with support and resistance first, and then we talk about the different scenarios from the most bearish one to actually the most bullish one. Okay, what are the parameters we have on the chart? They have been very slightly adjusted. We have micro support here. I mean, that's not changed at all. That's our Fibonacci support zone. It really has only, you know, it's where it is. It's not changed since we topped here last week at around $3,532. So as long as we are holding $3,364, the orange count, which I will talk about in a minute, for an upside breakout, a direct upside breakout, is something plausible. Is likely, is plausible. Yeah, can't rule that out. Below $3,364 micro support, that will become less likely. But it's not only about support. You know, this is also about understanding what is the structure doing, right? Because this starts to look a little bit like a 5-wave decline. And I have to say, a 5-wave decline isn't a great recipe for bullishness, okay? So we need to talk about that as well. The resistance area has been slightly adjusted because the price has formed a marginally lower low on Thursday. That doesn't mean we have a low in place here, but we should be close to at least a larger bounce. That bounce I wanted to see earlier in the week, but what happened here was, well, it was a bounce, but it wasn't really the bounce I wanted to see, right? So it's still showing some weakness there. So micro resistance, again, it's been slightly adjusted, $3,435 to $3,499. And again, that is a resistance area that would need to be broken to the upside, yeah, by the bulls to, let's say, more clearly prefer an upside breakout scenario and to more clearly prefer the orange count. Support, resistance, we have for the bullish count, support that needs to hold, resistance that needs to be broken. For the more bearish variations here of the wave count, but they are all bullish overall, right? I don't see us starting a major downtrend from here. This is pretty much just consolidation, yeah, on a larger scale, but it's pretty much just consolidation before upside continuation, basically. It's just important to recognize that we could see some more, let's say we could see some more downside in maybe the white count before we actually continue to move to the upside. So now let us talk about the most bearish count. Okay, always please understand, yeah, it is, you could say bearish, but actually it's all part of a larger degree bullish count. Now, the bearish count is an A wave, and then this was a B wave. Not ideal when we talk about proportions, I have to say. And then we could now start the C wave decline. That C wave might actually have started last week. I do have something that looks a little bit like a 5-wave decline from last week's high. So it's definitely a plausible scenario. This could be a wave 1 low. And so we're still in that area from where I wanted to see that bounce develop. Bounce would be wave 2, should stay below $3,499. So if we see a bounce, maybe it's now next week or late today, then this will be the resistance area. And then if we see a strong rejection from there, a third wave down might begin. That's the short-term bearish count. It would then, when the C wave is done, potentially around $3,200. We can't really confirm where that C wave will go until we see the 1-2 setup, right? But yeah, it might be around 3,200, maybe a little lower. Then from there, we can focus on higher. But I haven't got enough evidence to say that C wave has started. It's one of the potentials. The next bounce is corrective. That becomes more likely. In the blue count, that B wave, which I don't like where it is, that B wave could be a triangle. A, B wave triangle, C wave. And the triangle is A, B, C, D, E. And the D wave itself, and this is where it's getting super complex, an ABC structure. Now you can take your time, take a look at the live charts if you are on our Discord server in the stocks membership and have the right tier to see the chart. Then you can take your time, check the live chart. It's super complex. I mean, it's not so helpful to try to understand every micro pattern here because it'll change most likely. But to help you understand, this is a 5-wave move down. So it's likely only the A wave of the D wave because a D wave in a triangle should be an ABC structure. Okay, so that in that count, we could also react to resistance. But in the following, we wouldn't break below the red line at 3,300. We would get another bounce before we move down lower. So basically, blue and white are very much related. And in the orange count, we already completed a triangle, but a bullish one, A, B, C, D, E, because of wave 4, which this one is most likely anyway, also in the white count, but the wave 4 itself can unfold as a triangle. I don't like the proportions of this. And with the pattern here, I don't really have a strong evidence that the market is trying an upside breakout, but it's possible as long as we're holding above 3,364. It's actually a plausible scenario. Just no clear evidence for it until we actually see a break above resistance and some upside momentum from here. There's no evidence at the moment that we even start a bounce, but I think this is an area from where that's very, very likely. Either in the white count or the blue count or the orange count, we should see a rally into resistance. I would expect that, but can't confirm the start yet. So that's the update on gold. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out our membership. Yeah, you can find the link to our stock membership in the description. It's the Patreon link. Here you can get access to our Discord server for, also daily gold and silver updates, but also the focus is mainly on the stocks indices and 20 stocks, depending on the tier, even many, many more. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.